Tony Blinken, Secretary of State, in front of the Senate Appropriations Committee, presumably asking for resources to fund Israel's incursion in one way or another into Gaza. I mean, ostensibly, this is for, defensive mechanisms, but this money is fungible, obviously. It's for military aid. Blinken was interrupted, I think, about 4 or 5 times, and this is the 5th time, by members, I think, predominantly of Code Pink.
Yep.
Who came in, and there's been a lot of things that Code Pink have done in the past I've certainly appreciated. I remember Code Pink activists at the Republican National Convention in 2004 just getting swept out of there by Secret Service people. This is the 5th interruption, and you can see behind Tony Blinken, right when we put the camera up, you'll see at least one person with their hands up in the air, covered with blood. There's probably, I think, like a dozen, if not maybe 20 people.
Do we have a still of that?
Sitting in there.
The still is pretty striking too. If you could just find the still, but yeah.
Here is one of those interruptions yesterday.
From Palestine to Mexico, all over Mexico!
Committee will suspend.
So in this one, they were talking about, they start off with walls from Mexico to and Palestine. But the earlier ones were exclusively ceasefire. That's a pretty powerful still there. You can see the hands in the background there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is in just about every way imaginable a failure of the Biden administration to call for a ceasefire. To the extent that the theory was, or that we're told anyways, that this was Biden's way of maintaining leverage or legitimacy with the Israeli government, that seems to have not helped in any way. It's hard to know from afar, like, what is the best tactic when you're talking about the relationships between two different countries. But, the proof is, the pudding has been, cooked and set and chilled and cured and served. And the proof is there, and it's been a failure. You're now, we're at
he should resign.
10,000 dead in Gaza
that we know of. Yeah.
And there doesn't seem to be any type of end in sight.
There's no, I would never be in the position to be Secretary of State, so it's kind of a moot point, but I would never be able to put myself in front of Congress and defend this. We need more resignations. Tony Blinken should resign in protest. I think many State Department officials, higher up people, need to start really considering when I know people only care about their
Do
legacy.
you think Blinken doesn't support this?
I'm sure he does.
Yeah, he does.
I'm sure he does. But like,
The staffs, though, they need to be gone.
Sure. But I mean, but of course, there's got to be some internal dissension and feeling like, oh God, they're putting us in a really tough position. Take that the next step further. Why is it a tough position for you? Why are you being put in a position to then be photographed with people with blood on their hands behind you? Like, go that next extra step. Start to raise the alarm, because it just, if you want your legacy to be more than Secretary of State for this period and I'm in power for this amount of time, if you want it to be substantive and for history to remember you, resign. But obviously, I think Biden has staffed the foreign policy like apparatus there with people who are very sympathetic to this, which is unimaginable to me. I can't understand it.
It's not hard to find, it runs the gamut from full-on bloodthirst, from people like Lindsey Graham, through to, I think, people who are afraid of getting primaried by AIPAC. I'm not sure, it's harder to sort of assess who those are. But, good for those members in the squad. And I guess we're up to 18 now in Congress, who in the House, who are demanding that Biden call for a ceasefire. It's unclear, whether Biden calling for a ceasefire or even using the leverage we have would inhibit Israel, but it's hard to believe. It would clarify things, but it's hard to believe. If they're coming for $18 billion or $14 billion, it's hard to believe that some strings attached to that money or just withholding that money wouldn't curb what they're doing. It's a really hard thing to believe.